Oh, nice. I can already see people joining the Menti. So welcome everyone. And while we just get started, please scan the QR code. Okay, I can see already some of you are in there. Perfect. So again, for everyone that is joining and while we're waiting for everyone to join, please scan the QR code and tell us from where you're joining us today. Okay. Interesting. It's a little bit small, but obviously we're across EMEA, seeing most likely some Germans joining here, but also from the UK and maybe more south as well. Again, for everyone who's joining and while we're waiting to get started, please scan the QR code or also go to menti.com and enter the code that you can see above. And let us know from where you're joining. And let's have a look at the map together. I always find it very inspiring to see how big our Menti community is from all over the world. I mean, this webinar is for EMEA only today. So majority, what I've also can see is most likely from around German-speaking markets, but also the UK, Spain, the Nordics as well. All right. I can see already a couple of people more and more in the Menti, but not everyone has been telling us from where they are joining us today. And please, for everyone who's joining freshly, scan the QR code and let us know from where you're joining us today. All right. So we will get started in just a moment. Just want to wait a little bit longer for people being able to join. Please scan the QR code and let us know. Yeah, next time I have to choose a bigger map because here I can't really see, which countries where the most people are coming from. But thank you for, letting us know from where you're joining. All right. Well, for those who are still joining, please scan the QR code and some instructions for the webinar today. Ask questions during the presentation through the Q&A option. And of course, the recording will be shared after the webinar with all of you. And this is an interactive presentation, interactive webinar, so participation is highly appreciated. And with that, a warm welcome to our webinar today with the topic of Lead with Impact, how to build trust, drive change, and upskill teams. So before I start with the presentation, I would actually like to introduce myself to you. So my name is Angela Wiesenmüller. I live here in Berlin, Germany with my family, and it's a pleasure to be the host of this webinar today. Over the past 18 years, I have had the privilege of leading sales and marketing teams in a very dynamic and fast-changing environment. So the tech industry, I've been in SaaS for the last almost 20 years. And I hold also a diploma in organizational leadership from Oxford University. In my role at Menti, I lead the EMEA strategic accounts team, but I also work closely with a lot of other departments, such as marketing, product, revenue operations, and business development. And one of my priorities is to make sure that we are aligned and building trust along the way to achieve our goals and drive performance. And that's where Menti has really made a difference for me, because it has helped me to listen better to my team and also to learn what is going on, what the challenges are, and with that, to be a better leader. And in our webinar today, I'm looking forward to sharing some of the techniques that we are also consulting our clients with you. So let's have a look at the agenda. So we want to give you strategies today that will allow you to build trust and drive collaboration through effective communication, but also to lead change with real-time insights and also team input. And then to also use AI and engagement data to measure impact, track progress over time, and also reveal growth areas to improve. But before I will start to deep dive into these topics, I would like to learn from you, what is one of the leadership challenges that you are currently facing in your role? So I can share the QR code for those of you who have maybe joined while I was introducing myself. So please scan the QR code and let me know what is one of the leadership challenges that you are facing in your current role. Reorganization, commitment from employees, too many distractions, strategy alignment. We can see already a couple of topics coming up several times. Yeah, obviously dealing with the executives is a big, here keeping people motivated, restructuring, maintaining the morale and the motivation, align values, really, really interesting. Collaborate across silos, yeah, finding time to actually get the work done, keep people engaged and motivated, engagement and uncertainty. So I can see that there's a lot of different challenges that we are currently facing among this group of leaders here online today. And what I want to say, or how I can summarize all of the challenges, for me at least, it is a complicated time to be alive. Or in other words, we live in a VUCA world. So some of you might know what VUCA stands for, because this terminology or this concept has been invented by the US military. So VUCA stands for volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. And I mean, what we've seen also from your challenges, it's a direct impact from the change and the innovation that is happening much faster than ever before in our world today. And that has a huge impact on companies and organizations, and especially on the people. And through the rise of AI, ChatGPT, I mean, all of these new AI tools, processes are becoming, on the one hand side, faster. But at the same time, the amount of information and content and data that is produced within one single day is also increasing exponentially. So there are sudden shifts in strategy, change of goals, unclear direction. All of these changes make it even more important to work together, to be aligned. But then that leads to a calendar full of meetings. And we've just seen like lack of motivation, lack of engagement. You know, that's also a result of so many meetings happening every day to actually cope with this fast changing environment. And many meetings are actually unproductive and leave people with no time to work. And all of these things that I just mentioned as well are also really overwhelming for people, because most human brains, also my brain, I actually cannot process, if I have meetings all day long with all kinds of new information in one day. And at some point, I blame myself as well. Like sometimes people just switch off, and we call this the low power mode. So it is an effect where the brain protects us from overload and uncertainty, and we are no longer leaning in, taking information, or using our full brain to process. But it's also not like a character flaw. It's just like how our brains protect us from overload and uncertainty. And if we look into what the cost of this low power mode is for companies all over the world, it is quite significant, because according to research, companies just in the US alone lose a staggering 1.9 trillion in US dollars from people being disengaged. Turnover is 18% higher with low engaged teams. And then also 67%, so almost 70% of executives consider their meetings as failure. So I would like to understand from you now, what are the biggest sources of inefficiency in your organization? I might just put on the QR code quickly again. So for those of you who joined maybe also recently, let me know. And some of you already mentioned, for example, working in silos is a big source of inefficiency, but also low engagement or buy-in. But we can already see here some categories that are, the biggest sources among our group here. So inefficient meetings with 17 votes, and you can also vote several. So obviously, in most companies, there's more than just one source of inefficiency. We can see lack of clear focus and goals, working in silos, that's a big challenge, low engagement buy-in, but then also resistance to change. And psychological safety, we can see that also as a big topic. But really interesting, like resistance to change and inefficient meetings, those are the biggest ones. And like we humans, we don't like change, right? I mean, it's also, a psychological characteristic of humans that they like to be safe and in a good place and not have change all the time. But so if we look at all of these challenges that we're facing as leaders, and also at like what these are causing in terms of inefficiencies for organization and the cost of the low power mode, what I just mentioned, like it's fair to say that leadership is a really tough gig right now. In a world overflowing with content and efficiency and like trying to maximize the output and be ahead of the competitors and make sure that you're getting also the advancement in your career, people are craving safety, purpose, and connection. And the expectations on leaders today are higher than ever before. So the leaders who thrive, that's what we believe, will not be the ones that know all the answers, because in today's world, it's simply impossible to know all of the answers. But it are actually those who create spaces where people feel included, where their voice is heard, and where they also feel that they are part of the journey, even if the direction of the journey changes, because it has to change with all of the environmental uncertainties that are going on. So we see future-proof leaders making a shift, moving from a more directive mindset to a more facilitative leadership style. So from being more, having like broadcasting answers and coming in with presentations and being more like lecturing and saying like, this is what we will do, to moving to this facilitative leadership and unlocking the intelligence in the room. So to get people to switch back on, to be engaged, leaders or we just need to be a little bit more human. With all the AI around us, with so much content, with so much efficiency need, it's actually our humanity that will create connections, and these connections lead to change, because AI can create a lot of output, but AI can't create these connections. AI can't bring people together and like unlock the intelligence in the room to actually get us ahead of the competition, to get us to reach our goals and to be more efficient in our work. So why though is this so difficult for leaders today? And when we are talking to our clients, every day, we realize, like what the challenges are, because we're talking with them about how difficult it is to open up. And that's because the expectations on leaders has been that they know it all. That's why they are the leader. They have the most experience and they know the right direction. And most leaders were trained to deliver the message and not to facilitate a discovery and unlock the intelligence of the room. So if you had to assess your own leadership style now a little bit, so if you were managing a team or maybe also a department, like where would you place yourself on this scale? Okay, so I can see already a lot of facilitators in this room. But we can also see from the curve that there are maybe some more in the middle. Okay, let's wait a little bit more. And I mean, obviously, like how facilitative you can be in an organization has a lot to do with the culture as well. So if the culture encourages discussions and people, like being included and being able to say what they think and bring in ideas and bring in innovation, it is more easy to be a facilitative leader. I think it becomes more challenging when the culture does not doesn't really make space for that per se. So I can see there's a really good spread here of leadership styles. Thank you very much for sharing this. And if you're more on the directive side of your leadership style, or also if you're a really good facilitator right now, but you still want to learn how to actually unlock even more potential within your team and drive change, I would like to share some of the techniques that we have been looking into. So we believe that in order to build connections, you have to get everyone to participate. So to have to create an environment that is characterized by safety, attention, and synergy. Because when people feel safe and trusted, and it's the same with like young children in the school, they learn much faster. And today, people have to learn so many things with AI, like with all of these innovation, with, they are maybe also afraid that they won't be able to be upskilled that fast and be left behind. So if we are able to build an environment where people feel safe and trusted, they will learn fast and adopt to technologies much quicker. And then another thing is, as we said, like we have to be able to cut through the noise, reduce the distraction, and really focus on like 1 or 2, 3 things that will get people to switch on and will us to be able to advance with our goals and where the company needs to be. And then the third thing is the synergy. So if you're able to get people to participate and include them in finding the right solution to a challenge, you are then also unlocking the power of synergy. So let's dive a little bit deeper into these 3 categories. And let's start with how to create safety and trust. And one tip is, like, in your next team discussion, like, try this out. Start your next team discussion with an anonymous input. Ask, what is your biggest concern about this project? About, like this strategy shift, whatever it is, and let people submit through anonymously using Menti their answers and address what you see, not just what you plan to say. And when people see that their actual concerns are being addressed, you can also use AI then to categorize the input of the team to see, okay, what clusters are we seeing here? What is it that we need to look into? And then in the next meeting, you can actually take all of the input from your team, have a workshop on the findings, and with that transparency, you're transforming a safe and trusted environment where then engagement also starts to really flourish. Looking into the next topic is how to make people switch on and really actively participate. And that's by creating attention. So one thing that you could also try is like replace one status meeting where people are just giving an update on where they stand, with like a session where you focus on one single question. So instead of asking everyone to give an update, you can also say, what is one thing preventing us from hitting our target this quarter or this month or in a certain time frame, or if you're planning for next year now, like what will get us ahead in 2026? And then let everyone contribute their answers and build the solution together, because it's easier for people to concentrate on one thing and then work on finding the solutions together. And then you will also get buy-in from everyone if they are part of formulating the outcome, and you are asking them to find the right solution together. They have buy-in on the solution, and that will lead to faster outcome and better performance. And then looking into how can you unlock the intelligence in the room to drive innovation. So looking into this synergy concept and connecting ideas. So one thing that you could also do by using Menti is, in your next meeting, ask for learnings. What did you learn this week that changed how you think about your work, or how you think about the outcome of this project, or this and that challenge? So whatever it is that you have to drive as a leader right now, ask them about one learning. And then how does this learning relate to the goal that we want to achieve? Because what I often find is that when people start to share their learnings and when they come up with ideas, it's not just a single idea that gives us the breakthrough, but it's actually like the connection between several ideas that suddenly then come, where you suddenly have like, okay, wow, this is the way forward. So when other people reinforce your own thoughts, that is also really, really rewarding. So just think about a person that is sitting in your team, and like everyone starts to share their ideas, and they feel like, oh my God, other people are thinking the same than I am. So when people come together and they reach then the conclusion that they could not have had on their own, that's when you really build high-performing teams. And with that, I'm actually already coming to the end of my presentation, because we want to have a lot of questions from you as well. So I want to summarize what I just talked about, is then when leaders create environments where people feel safe, focused, and intellectually stimulated, something really interesting happens. They switch on and they start to actively participate. So we see strong leaders also make a shift from a more directive style to a more facilitative leadership style, because in today's world, leaders, they do not have all of the answers, and they also do not have to have all of the answers, because it's simply impossible with the speed of innovation that is happening outside in the world to know it all. So it's more like being able to get people to participate and share their knowledge to unlock the intelligence in the room. And that allows to create safety and trust and provide a clear direction, which will get everyone excited about the road ahead. And I understand, and also when talking to clients, we realize that this is quite challenging sometimes for many leaders, because you don't know what will actually come up when you start to open up and ask questions. But if you don't know what people think, those things that are unsaid, they are also holding teams back, because everyone has like some thoughts in their head. And sometimes you come into a room, you come into a meeting, and there are like these unsaid things in the room, like the big elephant, the pink elephant that is sitting there. And like, it's difficult to ask these questions and then, get maybe also some unpleasant feedback or things that you don't know how to react on in the first moment. But the risk of not hearing things that are unsaid is actually higher than the risk of asking the questions, because performance increases dramatically when we're breaking through silos, when connections are being made, and everyone is then running in the same direction. So with that, I want to just point out that we are helping and supporting a lot of our customers that want to learn more about how they can unlock the intelligence in the room with Menti. So we have a quick form here, and if you are interested on speaking with your customer success rep or also with myself, please don't hesitate to fill out the quick form here and let us know how we can help you, because there are a lot of our clients that are also preparing for strategy meetings or for major town halls where there's a big challenge that, like asking the right questions, how to cope with the answers that are coming there. Should it be anonymous or should it be with verified participants? So there's a lot that we are consulting our clients with. So here you have a quick form. Don't hesitate to reach out to us. And also, a very quick note from my side, we have a leadership certification program that we are offering on October 15th. It's a 2-day workshop in our Mentimeter office. So if you are interested to learn more and deep dive into the topic of facilitative leadership, also click on that link here and learn more. And we also have still 2 free seats for clients that are really interested and able to come to Stockholm. But with that, I would like to move over and open up from questions from the audience. All right, so I can see the first question here. Cutting through the noise sounds great. However, it's a tough nut to crack, don't you think? Yeah. I completely agree with whoever asked that question. And I think that goes hand in hand with some of the challenges that were mentioned from all of you in the beginning, is about setting clear goals. I think if the leader understands what are the maybe 2 or 3 most important things that the team needs to think about to get to the next level or to get to higher performance or to the advancement that is needed, then, that's where you can, I would say, cut through the noise by just creating focus on what is most important, and then having your team focus on this one thing or, one at a time. Looking at some more questions. There's so many questions. Thank you so much for all of your questions. Let's see. What advice do you have on decreasing resistance to change? How is that at Mentimeter? Okay, I think this is also really a good and very important question. So the first thing is to understand, what is, what's the reason for the resistance to change? Is it fear of maybe losing the job? Is it fear of not being able to, be fast enough in learning new, technologies? So, with the questions that you can ask in a Mentimeter, what we do, and we also have a training on change management, is that you can have, with a bigger team or with smaller teams, you can first anonymously understand what is the reason for the resistance for change. And once you understand why people are, scared, or why they don't want to change, then you also have a better understanding. Is it that you need to provide more clarity on the strategy? Some people might just not understand why they need to do this and that, why the company has decided that this is the right direction. Especially young people, they need context. They need to understand, why do I have to do this and that? But when they understand that, then, they actually buy in. So I think that is something that we can help you a lot with, because we have a lot of resources and also templates for change management, sessions, workshops, and then also the opportunity with AI to track how the resistance to change or how the progress is actually happening over time. So yeah, please let us know. We'll be happily in contact with you to share a little bit more about that. Let me see 2 or 3 more questions. I find those resistant to facilitated ways of working and leading, we would lose their impact when they hold a high position in the team. Okay, yeah, this is a challenging one, because if the facilitative, that's something that I said before. If a more directive leadership approach is part of the company culture, which is steered from the very top, then, it is sometimes, I would say, to be very honest, it might be even impossible to convince someone at the very top. But there's a lot of data and research that shows that if you have this inclusive and if you have, like a trusted environment, that people learn faster, that they are more productive, that they are more engaged, that you have less turnover, and that overall the productivity is higher. So, while certain people and persons have like their personalities, you might not be changed someone, but overall, I think there's a huge way with data to show that engagement and participation leads actually to better outcome. So what I said before, unengaged people in the US alone, it's 1.9 trillion that it is costing companies. So I think with data, you can get very far here as well. So a lot of questions on resistance to change. Let me see. I think we have time for two more questions. So using Menti and gathering anonymous feedback input works well. What's hard is then to spark collaborative discussions where the team talks to another and how to moderate the shift best. So this is also really good, really good question here, because like it goes deeper into this facilitative leadership, because obviously, people can give anonymous feedback to certain questions, but how do you turn them on and get them to be inspired and really think about a problem? And that's also possible to asking the right questions. And what we do at Menti, for example, like we ask a question where they have to think 2 or 3 minutes about a certain challenge, and they have to turn to the person that sits next to them, and like discuss this topic with the person next to them, and then give the input back into Menti. But they have not come to the conclusion themselves. They had to actually come to the conclusion together with a team partner. And you can also do that with breakout rooms if you have a more hybrid work setting. So you have breakout rooms, get people to work on a question together, and then give the input together there as well. But looking at the time, we will get back to you and answer all of your questions, also via email. But I would quickly, for those of you who are still with me, who haven't had to jump into their daily work again, please let me know what topics, because we are running webinars on a monthly basis, and we really are very interested in the topics that are relevant to you, that are interesting to you. Which topics would you like us to cover in our next webinar? So take some time and give us feedback there. That would be lovely. And with that, I want to thank you so much for participating in our webinar, How to Lead with Impact. I hope you got some good input and some techniques that will help you to unlock the intelligence in your room. Make sure that you can be more efficient and have leading with more impact. And for any additional questions, please don't hesitate to reach out via email to me directly. And also, please connect on LinkedIn with me. And I'm looking forward to maybe meeting you on one of our next webinars or one of our Curiosity Club dinners. Thank you so much, and have a great rest of the day.